Please remember, this video contains graphic content which some viewers might find disturbing. Imagine being lured into a trap by your ex, only to face a deadly ambush planned by her new boyfriend and his gang. Today, we are exploring a case that made national headlines, where a teenage jealousy turned into a sinister murder plot. Stay tuned as we uncover the chilling details of this real-life nightmare, as well as the psychological factors that trigger this tragedy. Our story begins in Summerfield, Florida, a small, unassuming town that would become the backdrop for a crime that defied understanding. Seath Jackson, a 15-year-old with dreams and a zest for life, crossed paths with Wright, a young girl of the same age. They quickly fell into a whirlwind teenage romance, but after about 3 months, their relationship crumbled in March 2011 as Seath suspected Amber of cheating on him. The breakup wasn't cordial. Amber and Seath exchanged heated words, not in private, but publicly on social media, for all their friends and acquaintances to see. In the midst of this turbulent time, Wright got into a relationship with Bargo, an 18-year-old with a complicated past and a volatile temperament. Bargo, known for his intense personality, quickly developed a deep-seated hatred for Seath, believing mistakenly that Seath had been abusive towards Amber. The relationship dynamics among these teenagers were fraught with jealousy, emotional upheaval, and a desire for retribution. Little did anyone know, these tumultuous connections would soon spiral into a plot of cold-blooded murder. As spring blossomed in April 2011, so did the sinister plans of Bargo and his new accomplices. Bargo, consumed by an inexplicable animosity towards Seath, decided it was time to turn his dark fantasies into reality. He wasn't alone in his vendetta. Bargo drew in Kyle Hooper, a 16-year-old friend who harbored his own grudges against Seath. Wright, along with 2 more acquaintances, Justin Soto, age 20, and Charlie Ely, 18. This group of teenagers, each with their own reasons, found themselves entangled in a plot that was as chilling as it was unthinkable. The plan was simple yet grisly. Bargo's intent was clear. He wanted Seath dead, and for that he needed a lure. Amber, who once shared tender moments with Seath, was now instrumental in orchestrating his demise. In a twisted turn of events, she agreed to play the role of the bait. On April 17, 2011, Amber sent a series of text messages to Seath, feigning a desire to reconcile. She invited him to Charlie Ely's trailer, a location that would soon turn into a crime scene. Seath, still nursing feelings for Amber, agreed to meet, unaware of the trap that awaited him. The evening of April 17 unfolded like a scene from a horror movie, a scenario driven by a mix of jealousy, rage, and a twisted sense of retribution, so violent and disturbing that it's difficult to fathom. Seath, unaware of the fate that awaited him, walked into Charlie Ely's trailer, his heart filled with hope of rekindling a lost love. But as he stepped in, he was struck on the head with a wooden object by Kyle Hooper. The assault was brutal and sudden, leaving Seath disoriented and vulnerable. Amber and Ely retreated to a bedroom, distancing themselves from the violence they had helped orchestrate. Bargo, the mastermind, armed with a .22 caliber revolver, opened fire, wounding Seath. Despite his injuries, Seath mustered the strength to flee. He stumbled outside, a desperate attempt to escape the horror unfolding. But there was no reprieve. Justin Soto tackled him in the yard, pulling him back into the nightmarish grip of his attackers. The assault continued, each action more ruthless than the last. Bargo, fueled by a deep-seated rage, continued to beat and curse at Seath, firing more bullets. The final fatal shot was delivered to Seath's face. A gruesome end to a life barely begun. The group then wrapped Seath's lifeless body in a sleeping bag and tossed it into a burning fire pit, a chilling act of disposal that stripped the victim of his dignity even in death. The night's horror did not end with Seath's murder. The group, showing a disturbing level of composure, used bleach to eradicate the evidence of their crime. The next morning, in the final act of concealment, Seath's remains, now reduced to ashes and fragments in the fire pit, were shoveled into paint buckets. Under the direction of Bargo, these remnants were taken to a remote water-filled quarry and sunk into its depth, hoping to erase their crime forever. This was not just a murder. It was an execution, a systematic and calculated plan showing the disturbing mindset of the perpetrators who displayed a chilling disregard for human life. The morning after the murder, the first crack appeared when Kyle Hooper, overwhelmed by the gravity of what they had done, confessed to his mother. Law enforcement swiftly moved in, piecing together the fragmented story of Seth's disappearance. By April 20th, just 3 days after the murder, arrests were made. Amber Wright, Charlie Ely, Justin Soto, and Kyle Hooper were rounded up and charged. Michael Bargo was arrested in Starkey, Florida, where he had fled. Far from showing remorse, Bargo bragged about the murder to multiple people, revealing gruesome details with a sense of pride. Investigators, armed with search warrants, found the murder weapon and ammunition hidden in Ely's trailer. The fire pit in the backyard held remnants of the crime, burned human remains that told a silent, grim story. The final piece of evidence was retrieved from the Ocala quarry, where divers found the paint buckets containing Seth's remains, weighted down with cinder blocks. In the aftermath of such a heinous crime, many questions arise about the psychological factors that could drive teenagers to commit murder. Disclaimer: these are only speculations and do not reflect a professional psychological analysis. Romantic relationships can be overwhelming and all-consuming for teenagers, lacking the perspective that comes with maturity. In the case of Amber and Seth, their broken relationship created a breeding ground for resentment and revenge. In many cases involving multiple perpetrators, one or more individuals may have a dominant influence over the others. Michael Bargo's role as the alleged ringleader suggests he may have had a significant influence on the group's dynamics and decision-making, potentially manipulating others to participate in the crime. Teenagers, still developing their sense of identity and moral compass, are often highly susceptible to peer pressure. The need to belong or fear of being ostracized can lead to participation in activities that align with the group's decisions, even when these activities are morally or legally wrong. Without specific psychological assessments, it's speculative, but individuals who commit such crimes might exhibit traits of certain personality disorders, such as an antisocial personality disorder, which can be characterized by a lack of empathy, disregard for the well-being of others, and violent behavior. Bargo was said to have experienced abuse from both his parents, which could explain this personality disorder. It's crucial to recognize that while these factors can provide context, they do not excuse or justify the crime. We want to understand, but not forgive, and the outcome of the trial will rule in our favor. In June 2012, the wheels of justice began to turn for Seath Jackson's murderers. The trial process was a meticulous dissection of the events leading up to and following the brutal murder. Prosecutors presented a case built on the foundation of forensic evidence, eyewitness accounts, and the chilling confessions of the perpetrators. Each defendant was tried separately as adults, facing the gravity of their actions in the stark light of a courtroom. Amber Wright, Kyle Hooper, Justin Soto, and Charlie Ely were all sentenced to life in prison. As the mastermind behind the murder, Bargo was sentenced to death, becoming the youngest person on Florida's death row. In the subsequent appeal, the Supreme Court upheld Bargo's sentence in 2021, affirming the decision of the lower courts. Seath Jackson's murders is a stark reminder of the constant presence of evil all around us, and how we should always doubt everyone. What do you think? Did the perpetrators get what they deserved? Thank you for joining us today on Casual Evil. Until next time, stay safe and keep seeking the truth.